Robert Kiyosaki didn't grow up rich. He had two father figures, one with a PhD, a stable job, and traditional views. The other? A high school dropout who became a millionaire by understanding how money works. This book is not just about getting rich. It's about changing your mindset forever. What if everything you believed about money was wrong? In 1997, Robert Kiyosaki released a book that challenged the way millions of people around the world think about wealth, success, and education. That book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not a step-by-step financial manual. At its core, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is about mindset. It's a story of two men, both father figures to Kiyosaki. One, his biological father, his poor dad, was highly educated, held a secure government job, and believed in working hard, saving money, and climbing the corporate ladder. The other, his best friend's father, the rich dad, didn't have a college degree, but understood how money really worked. He built wealth through investing, entrepreneurship, and by letting his money work for him. These two men gave Robert very different advice. One said, "Go to school, get good grades, and find a safe job." The other said, "Learn how money works, invest, build assets, never depend on a paycheck." And that conflict of beliefs became the foundation of this book. So, what was Kiyosaki's intent? He didn't write Rich Dad, Poor Dad to tell you what stocks to buy. He wrote it to wake people up, to challenge the status quo. He wanted readers to realize that being smart with money has nothing to do with how much you earn, and everything to do with how you think. To question the system, to understand the difference between assets and liabilities, and to learn that financial freedom comes not from income, but from control. So why does this book still matter today? Because the world hasn't changed as much as we think it has. Schools still don't teach financial literacy. Most people still live paycheck to paycheck, buried in student loans or credit card debt, blindly following a system that never taught them how to build wealth. And as inflation rises, housing becomes less affordable, and traditional jobs offer less stability. The ideas in this book are more relevant than ever. Whether you're 18 or 58, this isn't just a book. It's a mindset shift, one that could change how you view money, time, and your future. In the next minutes, we'll explore 5 key lessons from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Not just what they say, but what they mean, and how you can apply them today. Lesson 1. The rich don't work for money. The first and most famous lesson from Rich Dad, Poor Dad is this: the rich don't work for money. Most people hear that and assume it means rich people are lazy. But that's not what it means at all. What Kiyosaki is really saying is that rich people make money work for them. Let's break that down. When you work a job, you're trading hours for dollars. It doesn't matter how much you earn, $20 an hour or $200 an hour. You only get paid when you show up and do the work. That's called earned income. It's how most people live. They clock in, work hard, collect a paycheck, and repeat. But here's the catch. The moment you stop working, your income stops too. Rich Dad taught Robert to think differently. He said, "Don't just work for money. Build something that keeps paying you even when you're not working." That's the difference between working for money and having money work for you. So, how do the rich do it? They build assets that generate income. Assets like rental properties, stocks and dividends, businesses, royalties. Each of these produces cash flow, income that comes in whether you're working or not. This is how the rich can go on vacation and still make money. This is how they can sleep and wake up richer than they were the night before. It's not magic, it's mindset. Poor Dad believed in job security. He worked hard all his life, earned promotions, and valued a steady paycheck. He thought, if I work harder, I'll earn more. Rich Dad? He believed in financial freedom. He focused on building income streams that didn't depend on his time or effort. He thought, if I build the right system, I won't need to work harder. My money will. Let's use an example. Imagine two people. One works a 9-to-5 job and saves money in a bank account. The other starts a side hustle, invests in stocks, and buys a small rental property. A year later, they've both earned money. But one is still trading time for it, and the other is earning money around the clock. That's the power of this lesson. This isn't about quitting your job tomorrow. It's about shifting how you think about income. If your only plan is to work harder for more money, you'll eventually hit a ceiling. There are only so many hours in a day. But if you build assets, your income becomes scalable. It grows even when you rest. Kiyosaki learned this early, and it changed everything. Not just for him, but for millions of readers who finally understood. You don't get rich by working more. You get rich by thinking differently. And it all starts with the decision to stop chasing money and start building something that brings it to you. Lesson 2. Financial education is everything. What's the most expensive thing you'll ever own? Your house? Your car? Number. According to Robert Kiyosaki, it's your ignorance. Lesson 2 in Rich Dad. Poor Dad is simple, but powerful. Financial education is everything. Not school education, not grades, not degrees, but real-world financial literacy. You see, Kiyosaki's poor dad was highly educated. He had a PhD. He worked for the government. He knew calculus, history, and literature. But he didn't know the difference between assets and liabilities. He didn't understand how taxes worked. He didn't know how to make money grow. And he struggled financially his entire life. Meanwhile, Rich Dad had dropped out of school at 13, but he studied money. He read about investing. He learned how corporations work, and he became a millionaire. The truth is, the system isn't built to make you rich. Schools prepare you to be an employee, not an investor, not an owner, not a builder of wealth. Think about it. We learn about photosynthesis, but not how to do our taxes. We study Shakespeare, but not how to buy a house. We memorize historical dates, but never learn how to budget, invest, or manage risk. And that's why this lesson matters. Because without financial education, even smart people stay poor. Financial education isn't just knowing how money works. It's about learning how debt works, how interest works, how taxes can either drain you or be used to your advantage. Rich Dad taught Kiyosaki that the wealthy don't just make more money. They understand the rules of the game, and they use those rules to protect, grow, and multiply their wealth. For example, most people fear debt, but the rich use good debt to buy cash-flowing assets. Most people avoid taxes. The rich learn how to structure their income legally, through businesses, corporations, and investments, to reduce taxes and reinvest their money. So what can you do right now? Start learning. Make financial literacy a habit. Read books. Watch videos. Take courses. Learn about compound interest, the stock market, real estate credit risk management, cash flow. Kiyosaki calls it building your financial IQ. Not so you can impress people, but so you can build a future that lasts. The key lesson here? A degree might get you a job, but only financial education can give you freedom. And in a world where job security is disappearing and inflation keeps rising, that freedom might just be the most important investment of your life. Lesson 3. Buy assets, not liabilities. One of the most powerful and misunderstood lessons in Rich Dad, Poor Dad is this: buy assets, not liabilities. At first, it sounds simple, but for most people, it's life-changing. Robert Kiyosaki defines an asset as something that puts money into your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out. That's it. It's not about what it is, but what it does. Most people think their house is an asset, but unless it's paying you through rental income or tax benefits, it's actually a liability. It costs you money every month. Mortgage, maintenance, insurance, taxes. Now, let's break it down further. Some examples of assets: rental properties, dividend-paying stocks, a business you own, royalties from a book, song, or course, intellectual property. These create cash flow, money that comes in regularly, even when you're not working. Liabilities, on the other hand, include a car with a loan, a home with negative equity credit card debt subscription services. You don't use expensive gadgets that depreciate quickly. Anything that costs you money over time is a liability. Poor Dad didn't understand this. He believed in buying a big house as a status symbol. He took on debt to look successful. His money flowed out. Rich Dad thought differently. He bought things that made him money. His money flowed in. Then he used that cash flow to buy more assets, starting a cycle of growth. Let's say you buy a new car. It feels good. It looks good. But it starts losing value the moment you drive it off the lot. And every month, insurance, gas, maintenance, the bills keep adding up. That's a liability. Now, imagine instead, you use that same money to invest in a vending machine. You place it in an office lobby, restock it weekly, and it earns $300 a month. That vending machine is now an asset. It's putting money in your pocket every single month. This lesson isn't about being cheap. It's about being smart. It's about asking one question before every purchase. Will this make me richer or poorer? Kiyosaki says, most people fall into the consumer trap. They earn money, then spend it on things that look good, but drain their wealth. They buy liabilities thinking they're assets, and over time, they work harder and harder, but never get ahead. But when you start buying assets, everything changes. Your money starts working for you. You begin to build true wealth, not just income, but freedom. Freedom from stress. Freedom from the paycheck to paycheck cycle. Freedom from being owned by your expenses. You don't need to be rich to start. You just need to shift how you think. Start small. Invest $50 in a stock that pays dividends. Buy a used item and flip it for profit. Create something you can sell again and again. Every asset you build is one step closer to financial independence. So the next time you're about to spend money, ask yourself, is this making me wealthier or just making me feel wealthy? That one question might change your life. Lesson 4. Mind your own business. Kiyosaki's fourth lesson might sound strange at first. Mind your own business. Not in the usual way. Not stay out of other people's problems. But literally, start thinking of yourself as a business. You see, poor Dad believed in working for someone else. He valued job titles, company loyalty, and benefits. He thought the path to success was to climb the corporate ladder. But Rich Dad taught Robert something different. He said, the rich focus on building their own business. Everyone else focuses on building someone else's. That doesn't mean quit your job tomorrow. It means, while you're working a job, build something on the side that you own. Because a job gives you a paycheck, but your business gives you freedom. Your job can disappear in a layoff. Your side hustle can become your safety net. For example, let's say you're a teacher. You can still start a small online store, or create digital courses, or invest your paycheck into assets. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be yours. Something you control. Something that grows. Kiyosaki talks about people who work their whole lives for a company, then retire with barely enough to live. Why? Because they spent decades helping someone else build an empire, but never built their own. Rich Dad always looked for ways to own income streams, whether it was a small business, a rental property, or intellectual property. He was always building something that would pay him, not just today, but long after he stopped working. That's the mindset of wealth. You start to see yourself, not just as an employee, but as an entrepreneur, a builder of income streams. And today, it's easier than ever. You can. Start a YouTube channel. Write an ebook. Sell templates or digital tools. Flip items online. Monetize a skill through freelancing. You don't need a degree. You don't need a big investment. You just need to start. You can keep your day job. That's your active income. But your side hustle? That's the foundation of your future freedom. The key's this: don't confuse your profession with your business. You can be a banker by day and build a real estate portfolio on the side. You can be a mechanic and launch a YouTube channel about car repairs. You can be a nurse and build a health coaching business online. It's not about choosing one or the other. It's about building something for yourself, even while working for someone else. So the next time you get paid, don't just spend it. Use part of it to build something. Learn a skill. Launch a side hustle. Buy your first asset. Invest in your business, even if it's small. Because when your side business grows, you may reach a point where you no longer need a job. And that, Kiyosaki says, is true freedom. Not depending on anyone for your paycheck. Not hoping your boss gives you a raise. But knowing, no matter what happens, you've built something that belongs to you, and no one can take it away. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. We're just getting to the heart of what makes Rich Dad Poor Dad so powerful. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider hitting that button. It helps support the channel and lets us keep creating deep, thoughtful content like this. And if you're enjoying this breakdown, a like or comment below goes a long way too. All right? Let's get back to it. Lesson 5. Fear and risk. Keep you poor. What's really stopping people from becoming wealthy? It's not intelligence. It's not education. It's not opportunity. According to Kiyosaki, it's fear. In Rich Dad Poor Dad, the 5th and final core lesson is this: fear and risk keep people poor. Everyone feels fear. But what you do with that fear determines your future. Poor Dad feared failure. He feared losing money. He believed in playing it safe, saving what he could, and avoiding risk at all costs. Rich Dad? He understood that failure is part of success. He wasn't afraid of losing, because every mistake was a lesson. And that's the mindset shift. The poor avoid risk. The rich learn how to manage it. Kiyosaki explains that fear keeps people stuck, afraid to invest, afraid to start a business, afraid to take a chance. So they stay in jobs they hate, stay in debt, stay small. They say, what if I lose money? But they never ask, what if I never try? Rich Dad taught Robert that being rich isn't about having no fear. It's about learning to act in spite of it. Every investor has lost money. Every entrepreneur has failed at something. But they got back up. They learned. They adjusted. And over time, they got better. In fact, most wealthy people have a long list of failures. But each failure made them smarter. And that education, it was worth far more than a degree. Kiyosaki says there's a difference between being careless and being courageous. Don't throw your money at anything, but don't let fear control you either. Learn how money works. Take small, calculated steps. Build knowledge, not just confidence. And most importantly, take action. Because waiting for the perfect moment is just another form of fear. So if you've ever said, I'm not ready to invest, I don't want to lose money, I might fail, understand this. That's normal. But those who break through it are the ones who win. You can't grow without risk. You can't win without stepping outside your comfort zone. You can't build wealth while being controlled by fear. So choose to grow. Study money. Make small moves. And when fear comes up, and it will, don't run from it. Learn from it. Because as Rich Dad says, the most successful people in life are the ones who take risks, calculated ones, and keep going. So, what have we learned from Rich Dad Poor Dad? 5 simple lessons, but behind them, a total shift in mindset. The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. Financial education is more valuable than any degree. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take it out. Mind your own business. Even while you work a job, build something of your own. And finally, fear is the real obstacle. Not money, not time, not skill, but fear. These lessons aren't just for the wealthy. They're for anyone, from any background, who's ready to take control of their future. Robert Kiyosaki didn't write this book to show off. He wrote it to wake people up, to show us that we don't have to settle, that we don't have to trade our lives for paychecks, that with the right mindset and a willingness to learn, we can build real freedom. The choice is yours. Keep working for money, or learn to let money work for you. Start small. Start today. Read more. Ask questions. Build something. Invest in your mind, because no one can ever take that away from you. Thanks for spending this time with me. If this video helped you see things differently, consider subscribing. It supports the channel and helps us keep spreading ideas that matter. Until next time, keep learning, keep building, and never stop thinking like a rich dad.